if I was blocked from registering on that app with like a saver card or whatever, it just cost me $4 on a $10 purchase to show you that it's not innocuous what they do. I couldn't save the $4 because it wasn't registered to my card. At least the young lady told me how it's supposed to work. Now, I've tried on numerous occasions to get it to work. If they can hack your system, they'll do it every time. It's not that they don't hold back. Like if they could hack every system I was in all day, they would hack it all day. That's how the deep state works. But if they can't hack it, then obviously they can't hack it. Right. It's like some slap in some ESU department of some dead end agency. Right. You're all definitely not the power that fixes anything. Spend all day breaking things. Now, you have to understand, one of the greatest parts of that New Testament, which is really oral Torah, or if you call it rabbinical teaching, is that the scripture says that Rabbi Yeshua ben David didn't sin. And of course he sinned. You can read behavior in the scripture that shows that he sinned. It's sinful. But again, it goes back. Again, I'm the one that teaches it. Nobody else in the world. Don't let them tell you some preacher in York County, Pennsylvania, taught me this, right? Or anywhere else for that matter. Because that's one of their big scams. Just like all of my law enforcement capability was taught to me by Rick Henry and Karen Shelton. Right. Mark Service mushroomed me, and regardless of what they were, I became a great law enforcement individual that I have been and am. Right. Tried to kill me also. Well, you can watch. He's not supposed to overturn the temple. That's a sin. That causes strife. He caused strife his whole life, but his intention was not to. It doesn't mean the action is innocent. It means the intention is innocent. Well, because the intentions of his heart didn't happen for him. If he had to live his life over, he would take those moments and remove them. So it's as God said to Shmuel, I look at the inside, the intentions of the heart. Well, because anybody can be willed to overturn the temple. He cursed people. Again, cursing people is an action of God at times. But again, you have to give it to God, which means don't demand that the curse effectuate. It's whatever it is once the episode's over. Right. Although Hy-Vee in this particular instance was the same price as Walmart, so Hy-Vee's they were almost gone because it was on sale. But Target had it the same price also. There's nobody named Jesus, and that's real. Never was. Well, you should be saying whatever rabbi, and then whatever the term rabbi is in your world, and then Yeshua ben David. That's simple. Or Yeshua, if you want to say it. Or instead of saying Jesus, just say Yesh. Nobody named Jesus existed. It came from a term. It came from the term lezus, which I believe is a mythological term to mean God of the law. Zeus of the law. Right. Which is totally offensive to Rabbi Yeshua, or would be totally. Well, for a period of time, Christianity was kept by God. Why? Because the good outweighed the bad, but that's no longer true. It's actually the beast at this point. Hmm. I'm spiritually connecting and realizing what needs to be healed. Thank you, Larry. So that's why I'm not speaking there. I think I have some sex crime stuff floating around. Car next to me beeped. Well, yeah. Again, Bobby K was on the license plate. RFK just came up. Person of beep. Yeah. So no matter what you find in that study, as far as the shooter, of course, that caused a set of conditions that were more amicable to that type of thing happening. There's no doubt. I mean, just hormones just do that. I mean, I'm sure RFK's taking some test support and stuff like that. But the mind becomes more active, and you actually have to fight uh, errant emotion a little bit more. Again, it's not really the way it works, but well, what happens is the deep state's responsible. Whether it's metaphysical or physical, they're responsible. I found in the churches, everyone I've been in, they have these conservative nutbags that attack you and call you a sinner, but in reality, they're the sinner, and it's a scam that the deep state created to execute people seeking help in churches. But they would definitely go after a trans person, and that trans person probably didn't even know they were in this head. So what's actually happening is the hormones help you to metaphysically connect. But if somebody's killing you, they have more into your psyche because the channel's bigger. The psychotropic drugs, I'm not sure the mechanism there, but they definitely don't test them on every segment of society. And law enforcement definitely has a different wiring in their brain, and they generally don't do as well on that any type of medication that affects the mind like that, right? Like CIA knows that if you're a law enforcement person, there's a certain way to kill you with psychology. Mm. I'm getting over that ear infection pretty quick, but it's just weird when I put the drops in, my ear will clog, so it must be still swollen in there. Right. Mm. Nah, there's no. Well, yesterday I was it would like every once in a while throb with pain, and then it would go away, then it would come back. I really didn't have much problem today, and I made sure I put a good dose in overnight, and it just kind of sat in there until I woke up, and then I dripped it out and cleared my air. So if you're uncomfortable with your ear clogging and you're using like a swimmer's ear drop for an infection or something, just do it before you go to bed. And then when you wake up, go ahead and just stick your finger. What you do is tilt your head down and then take your finger, your thumb, and go and cause that pressure to reverberate, and then it drips out. Because I was trying to figure out how am I going to do this. I don't want to walk around all day with my left ear clogged. I did it a little bit in the right, but I don't think there's anything there. I knew it was happening. And then it was, the shower. What happens after the shower, I put my hearing aid in without making sure it was dry a little bit. So, again, swimmer's ear. Right. Yeah, they made sure nothing happened right for me. And they've killed people their whole life. So, does Mueller actually have some condition like Parkinson's to the point that he can't? Well, I said my mom had Parkinson's for years. Right. So again, it might be the same thing, He just doesn't want to be involved. That's okay. Right. Weekly. He should have tried that when he was director. To say you don't want to be involved with it. Thanks, Larry. Well, it's just, I mean, even for the Pope, and the Pope's a wealthy guy too, but he tries to, do right, make it unwealthy to be a Pope, right? Like, sharing his room with two other people or his apartment with two other people, that kind of thing. Interesting. But it's just, again, the mechanism is this: if you're a Christian, you wouldn't be a billionaire. I'm not saying you got to be poor, but you wouldn't be a billionaire. It's just how that works. And in this day and age, I don't even know how you'd be a billionaire without being evil. Tell you the truth. So, hopefully he's real and he's trying to do something. Hi, kid. Kid saw me. But it could just be business as usual, a deep state trying to take over another segment of the population. Right. I mean, he could be a CIA operator. I don't know. But he's like not official. He's just one of the cronies. Right. But I don't know. Again, I'm not telling you that he is. These are just the possibilities. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm going to plug this in so I can, let me see, which way do I want to do this? All right, give me a second. I don't want to go offline. I'm going to try to do a switch change up. All right, are we there? Hello? Let me make sure it's this microphone. Yeah. I had to take it off the hub. I had a hub where it was plugged into, and then I want to try to stay on while I go in the store. Thank you, Larry. Well, again, so somebody's asked me questions. If okay, again, maybe there were discussions and discussions that I don't realize I'm in and things like that, but something came up that I need to answer. I'm looking at an Arabic woman right now, and the thing is, Jews should be really caring for Arabic people. It's just the end. No matter what you believe, you're supposed to do. That's really the answer to it. Right. Again, the Torah Jews try to do it, but then they go too far. So again, that's a sign of the times. Oh, healer. Right. Yeah, Hashem wanted me to marry possibly an Arabic woman or an Islamic woman, just to be easier to reach both communities and do one of the things we were trying to do. Again, you all thwarted the work of God, so the planet's going to end. That's just how this works. If you cooperated with the update, right, it would have been better. All right, so the Palestinian people and all those people that are going crazy, angry in the protests are actually being possessed. And they're being possessed by Jews, Catholics, Christians, all these people that are not really who they say they are. Right. To be that. That's what they want them to do. And again, there's also a psyop. Right. Jews will hire, and some actually, are these billionaires, and they have these security people, and they do a bunch of stuff to them, use evil eye stuff, and use psyop, and make them all crazy. So I guess the question was, well, what about them, and what is that? As far as how to, where does Hashem work in that, and why are we wrong for not hating on them? And right, but because they're not the power. Freak out, right? She just does her thing because she has money and status. The others don't. See, that's why they attacked me, because they couldn't make me who they wanted me to be, and they're like an evil spirit. like cursed in here. I'm gonna remove the curse. And they cursed that black guy. He was waiting for me to go, and I went in front of him, and there was a bunch of watermelons. So, but they actually, right? Because I'm like, it's probably the same reason why I went after my uncle. Well, he's in the government, and they're trying to do stuff to him. They can see he's like, they'll walk in a room and they'll bow their head, because it's just the way. It's not our system; it's their system. So anybody with power, they have to react a certain way, right? So again, if you're not a bad guy, they get angry. Now they got my uncle to really denounce God. I don't know where he is now, but as far as God, but said God never helped me. I'm looking at him like, well, he's one of the wealthy. He was one of, at the time. He's probably one of the wealthiest government disabled retirees in the world. They attacked him. There's no doubt. I think my Bubby did say something about that, right? Thank you very much. And my mother, she realized it was external, but she's still stuck because she's done deep state stuff in her life. So she's kind of stuck. She was kind of stuck around that, right? And I believe they took her in when my father passed on. And some of it's metaphysical, some of it's psychological, and some of it's physical. Right. Where is? So right. So the people, again, it's the same thing that caused October 7th to begin with. They just hate certain people, man. So it's like they don't have to know every single person that's protesting the thing in Gaza. They just put a billionaire's whammy out there, and all of a sudden you're yelling in the street, and cops are beating you, and all right. Well, the idea is that you heal them and then it goes away. But again, a lot of people don't want it to be what it is. And again, it could have been something better by now if we just would have stopped. And well, you actually cursed them to be that. You cursed them to be the Hamas. So then that's what they became. If you heal them from it with the true real heart, you have billions and billions of dollars. All your people, rich, rich, and rich and rich. There's no way that that could stand. It would fall. Right. Trying to figure out where this stuff went. I know they had it here, but I don't remember where. It was in a different location. Something's killing me from it. I'm trying to push me out of the store. It's a replacement for that elderberry that had the seal broken. That I purchased from Amazon. It's like vitamin A, vitamin C, and elderberry or elderberry. I figure out where it is. Oh, it might be actually be in the cold remedy. Now that I think about it. I was thinking it was somewhere else. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, Jesus did sin. You can't deny it. But again, sin is which is the greater lesson that needs to be taught, right? Is it's the inside. It's not what somebody looks like outside. But again, of course, that doesn't jive with the desires of the billionaire Christians because they use psyop to make people look bad, right? Agreed. Wait a minute. It's just vitamin C. I thought there was another one. Is this the one I was taking? This doesn't look like it. I know I was taking a generic. I mean, it'll work, vitamin C and zinc. I don't need all that other stuff, I guess. Like Airborne has a different. Well, I'm fighting ear infection, so it would make sense to take some of this. I don't know if this is even a sizable enough dose. Hmm. There's only one way, and that's to try it. Well, that's only one gummy. No, one of the weird things that happened recently when I was able to release my cranial tissues a little bit, my body temperature went up closer to normal. It was always a little low. So circulation in my head was all those years because they blocked me from massage therapy. It would never have happened. Again, they want to say they're saving the world all they like, but that's the psychological issues that a lot of people have, and they don't know. And again, they kill me because they don't want me telling people what the issues are. Right? Thank you, Larry. Yeah, it's like nine. I woke up this morning, it's like 98.6. I'm like, it used to be like 97.8 or 9 or something like that. It's been like that, consistently. I mean, it's been decades. I mean, they never let me be not even for one day. I'll tell you that. Meanwhile, the real criminals are having the life of Robin. Rich. Oh, I know where I gotta go. Okay, yeah, that's why. I went to Price Chopper, and I'm like, why am I even here? Thinking you. But tons of people have done the deep state thing. Right? Even like people that are like anti-government and all that. They come along and they give an anti-government reason to do it to me and shit. Right? I think if there's anything else I need at Walmart. It was weird. I looked over and saw this woman. She saw me and she was just like, yeah, it was just, it was weird. One of those weird things. Yeah, one of the biggest ones is the victim scam, where people that are doing the deep state stuff are the victim of the person they're harassing. And then, as a registered victim of this person, we're letting you know where he lives. Right. Right. But also, they're not charged. Everybody's sworn to secrecy. All that. Right. Thank you, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Right. The biggest criminal enterprise in the world uses sworn to secrecy as a, law enforcement secrecy as a method of shutting up the world. Right. Have a great day, ma'am. Yeah, I couldn't figure out why I was in front of Price Chopper. All right, hopefully you were receiving the whole time in Walmart. Sometimes it doesn't have good reception in there. They're all definitely devils, there's no doubt. There's no middle ground on that kind of stuff. Personal sin, there's a middle ground. Right? But ruler sins and all that, nah. Because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Hey, lady, you're looking up here. This lady put her freaking card in and caused all the other carts to okay, I got it. All right. So she throws her cart into the chute to hit the other carts, and the other side wasn't locked. And they just started rolling down into the other cars, and I stopped it. Saved just one of the many government or not community-minded services that I have engaged in. So it hit the line of carts, and the carts just started rolling. Let me grab my supplement here. Yeah, I don't know if that one. I don't check. I usually don't check back. I just report it to X or whatever. Right. I don't know if it was child pornography, but it looked real close. Right. It could go either way. I saw a couple other ones, but they look, over 18. But I guess I could still report it because you never know. Yeah, because the one picture of, I don't know her name, the one blonde that was with Prince Andrew, I guess, she looks 18 to me. She was like 14, I guess, or 15. But I've seen women that were like 18, 19, 20, and they look like they're 14. Right. No, Epstein did the same thing Weinstein did. Just hired a bunch of hit people, and then he got his deal, or his lawyers did, I guess. Right. Or maybe he did. I don't know. You think it was an aside? Yeah, Mossad's supposed to make sure they're people that retire or move on in life don't do that kind of stuff, right? So if the Jews would say, "Let's heal the Arabs, let's bless the Arabs," they would be peaceful around Jews. It would just happen, right? But since you chose the other way, then that's what happens. Thank you. So I got the trailer hitch pin removed because I couldn't find the key. It cut pretty quick, and not quick as I would like, but pretty quick. So now the trailer hitch is ready to go on. Just got to wait for the delivery of the hitch pin. Now it's pretty stupid putting that on there. That won't happen again. I locked it to the trailer hitch so I wouldn't lose it, but I lost the key. So I ordered another one. I'm real close to getting a trailer. It's just a small one they rent, or a medium, I guess they rent at U-Haul. Believe me, they want me to stay. I'm the cash cow. They do not. And of course, the latest scandal at LDS Church here, I'm sure they want me to stay so they could try to kill me for another year. It's one of their scams. Right. Now, like some of the people, some of the officers are like, eh, because now they want him to stay. It's too dangerous for him to leave. So, like, what we spent how many years trying to make him leave? Now, of course, not going to say it to your face, but yeah, playing the game I'm so dangerous that I can't stay here in their conservative Shangri La. Meanwhile, the real liberal nutbags are living in $1 million houses. Right now, I'm too dangerous to leave because we're the only ones that know how to control him. And the big fantasy bullshit. Bunch of wackos. That's why law enforcement has failed. And that's when this girl, man. Well, thanks for being an idiot. Right. You can go around the block here. Hopefully that spot's still open. Not the block, but around the parking lot aisle. Oh, is she going to come this way now? Nah, I'd have been married real quick. I'd been married before I got out of the Marshal Service. Because if I'd have found a woman, it would have led me to divorce quicker. Right. They were blocking me from divorce. Another one of their scams. Yeah, they're starting with that. I'm not sorry about what I did to you. I didn't ask you to be sorry, you piece of shit. Weirdos. Unrepentant weirdo devils. You can imagine what the punishment is for somebody that's in a church that does that. That was a big warning, when you're given much. Right. That cursed me offline, I can tell. All right. to Altoona, Pennsylvania, but there's no Costco. Holding me hostage, my hearing aid. I have to service the Costco. And Pittsburgh's like 2 hours. So it'll be 2 hours for me to even, think of getting it looked at. Now, my parents, my stepfather had a friend, I think from Romania, that was an art. Oh, it's Bera. I think, was it Bera? He was Bera. He was an artist that made some money. Was he French or was he Romanian? I can't remember. Berea, I think his name was. And we had his his copies of his paintings laying around in our house. Somebody might still have them. They're worth money, I suppose. I mean, not $1 gazillion, but or something, right? And what he did with his money, I think, him, he had a barn, like a huge, and he turned it into like a foster child residence. And he had I don't even know how many, but like 30 foster children. So I can imagine we have some power in Altoona. Right. Mm. And, my parents went out to visit, and my mother told me what it was. He used the money. I guess I'm not going to be able to buy anything. So what they used to do is they used to have people stalk me. And then when I was trying to buy a food, they would stare at the food I was about to buy. A woman would come up next to me and just stare at the food I was looking at on the shelf. I don't care what church their life to hell. And then I'm gonna stalk. All right. We had it before. Oh, I can look over here to see. Oh, looks like it's the olive oil one. I'm trying to see if the vegan mayonnaise over here doesn't look like it. Do something there physically, like she had something effectuating. No, that's it. I guess that's why I was here. Have a good life, lady. Or great life, whatever it is. All right. I just healed a woman who was going to be beaten, assaulted by somebody. And then I got the idea, well, okay, there's nothing to get by in this store because they're out of what I was looking for. Right. Nice life, lady. I just healed that assault away. Again, these are, in the afterlife, this is, what you're rewarded for. Not your corporate successes. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, Christianity actually has, it's not surprising what's happening in Christianity and all that. It has things built in to say that certain things, may appear to be, you know, righteous and of God, and they're not, right? Well, you have to understand it's also a growing thing where Paul gets to the point. Again, his name is really Shaul. There's nobody named Paul. Right. Um, well, they Romanized it because they want to. You can't hate on Jews if they're all Jewish names, right? He finally got to the point. He said, "Let's not judge them." And a lot of times, the people say it's only Christians that don't judge one another, or that they're not supposed to only judge. Again, if you understand what happened, they're writing this stuff down, and Shaul, that you all call Paul, never got to edit it. Right. Well, because he would have said the progression is let's stop judging one another. Right. I'm convinced that, to God, there's nothing, or I think he said Yeshua ben David. I can't remember who he said, but again, there's nothing is clean or unclean. Live your life the best you can, the way, because I'm telling you, like the Christians fight it. It's so strange. There's information out there that says Paul, the guy that you call Paul, Shaul, sinned, and he absolutely realized how sin worked. The more he did for God, the more difficult it was to not sin. Right. And again, Rabbi Emden began to realize that, but he didn't know what he was looking at. Evil inclinations, I wouldn't call it that. Because he said, the greater the man, the more the curses, right? That visit the man. Because people will curse anybody that's working for God in that way. Unless they're not real. Then they're lauded and they write books and own corporations. Hmm. Hmm. All right, I'll try. Where am I supposed to go now? I'm not understanding this. Oh, that way. Oh, okay, yeah. No, don't go. It's saying don't go. It's Labor Day, so it never got nothing's restocked. So don't go up there because you'll heal it for nothing. Like I could go to this location. There's going to be people to heal, but I'm not going to. And what's going to do is it's going to take all of you down because you're ripping me off. You're leading me around to heal things based upon a need that I have to purchase something, but the things aren't there. Read that. And then, of course, you'll use it. Although he seems like he's venturing out in the community, it's just when he stalks the women to rape that he's never raped. And the only reason he never raped is because we stopped him. I mean, it's just fantastical, tall tales of felony fraud proportions. That's what they're about. Kansas is pretty much a devil. Yeah, they play a game. Like they'll say, "Well, you're a liberal." No, I'm not really liberal, and I'm not really conservative. I'm just a human being trying to live my life and do what I believe God is right, thinks is right. And while you're all trying to curse me to all sorts of things, which makes you all devils. But I'll tell you right now, like I said before, the trans people and the ultra liberals are living great lives in Kansas. Now, this is the point where they call me a pedophile. Because it only works now. Well, of course, but you're the pedophile. No, they're the pedophile. Right. along with some of your people. It's a scam. What to do is let me find a woman and get married. Probably my life would have picked up, and I just had a normal life. I go like somebody says go to physical therapy. I go to physical therapy. It works. I go to massage therapy, physical therapy. It works. They attempted to sexualize me for over a year in massage therapy. It didn't work. Explaining to people what was going on, so they said that I was there. I still don't even know what it is. Thought maybe it's because I look at people all the time, and these people that were operating me, of course I'm going to look at them. They made up some excuse to me. I thought maybe it's because I'm connected like that. One that touched me under false pretenses. 100%. If you're deep stating and you're investigating something, you don't have a right to touch me. I never authorized you to touch me for anything other than physical therapy.
Correct.
Go to hell for it. Just part of their sexualization routines. And this guy ejaculates in a massage, but that's okay, right? It just shows you who they are, right? Oh, he tried to get me to do something there, but I would. I knew it was a scam when the woman was massaging my quadricep, and she took her, and supposedly she's 19. She's probably was like at least 27. So she takes her head, right, and probably a government hoe, right? She takes her head and puts it down near my crotch while she's massaging me. I was like, nobody massages in that position. Right. You want me to grab? I can see the whale. Grab her head and do something with it. That's what you all do. And she laughs. Let's go. Let's get it on. Yeah, the Me Too movement was bullshit. Men that were abusing the women were part of it. Right. It's just another place for the deep state to target and extort people. Right. Wasn't real.
Agree.
Mm. Nah, I left my coffee at home. I have to get another coffee somewhere. Mm. I guess I could do that. So I could try that. See how that tastes. I'd like to be able to move back to warm coffee since my stomach is coming back around. Since you're probably not drugging me, right? Right. Well, I myself wouldn't want you to really do away with that law completely. I mean, children need some sort of protection when they come to the country, but I think it should be a similar process uh, to the other process where they're protected up until amnesty. There's no amnesty. Again, they have a right to appeal it to a judge. You might say, they get to stay. I don't know, but again, I don't want that law overturned, but you actually might be able to. It's too broad. It's too vague.
Correct.
But again, I don't know of a judge that's going to say, have at it with the current administration. Right. So that's why you don't do what you're doing. But again, it's 6 and 1, half dozen. Like the idea that if Israel actually put in the AI not to harm children, it would take longer, but it's been a much better deal. Right. Well, because you're doing it a certain way, and the judges are going to balk at it, and you're probably not going to get much trust from them as far as what the answer is to the child protections and immigration. It's definitely too broad and vague. What you could do if the judge doesn't allow, that judge definitely isn't going to. No district judge, especially a newer district judge, is going to overturn that law. Right. But what you can do at a certain point is provide what you're going to do to provide the protections, but yet believe that you have a right to minimize or to end those protections at a certain point. Right? So the process, like with adults, right? It just doesn't make any sense that there's this open-ended thing. Send your kids, and we'll raise them and send them to college. Eventually that's where it goes. Right? You can't get your kids to college, but they'll get theirs to college. Some people in Guatemala get their kids to college. Right? So the deep state likes their minds or mindlessness.
Correct.
So really, the assassination in Baltimore started because I was considered too friendly. Now, I wasn't a thug hugger, but I was friendly, and they didn't like that. Right? They wanted me to be a crook like that. Right? So don't let them believe like, yo, you see how he is? He was a son of a bitch in the government. Some guy I helped, and again, if I wasn't Mr. Friendly, that guy would not have been helped by the other deputies. Right? But again, they're deep state. They say whatever needs to be said. Right? And really, it was most likely because I was witnessing to the criminals. Now, there's other people who have done that, and they're like famous, right? Which shows you that it's bullshit. Right? The DEA agent that was on Unshackled. There were people in D.C. that were doing that.
Correct.
Deputies in D.C. And of course, when the boss said something about it, I said, sure. Right. Oh, I got to go outside real quick. Get the stuff I bought, I guess. Look at there. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. So let's see, back to that law. So essentially, I don't like, again, you can argue, you have to prepare a tiered argument, and you have to tell your attorney that's arguing that they're allowed to do this because they don't want to get fired. They may even know on their own how to adjust the argument to get some from it. But if you keep doing all or nothing, you're going to get nothing. So what has to happen is you have to come up with a tiered argument. You start off, and if you want to do the all or nothing argument for just to a certain degree until the judge said, that judge is definitely not going to do all or nothing, right? Because there's no district judge in the world right now with the Trump administration in there that's going to say, let's overturn the law. Right. So I can be responsible for all these Guatemalan kids dying. Worst case scenario, Right. So the other thing is, the next level is that you prepare, well, Your Honor, we're prepared to provide a system similar to what has been ordered in the adults. We believe that although maybe there is some level of protection, we believe that protection ends when there is no real amnesty reason for them to be here. Correct. Representations of the Guatemalan government that they would take care of those children and protect those children would be sufficient to satisfy no amnesty claim. Correct. Now, that's initially. If they don't take care of those children, then there'll be an issue.
Correct, sir. Thank you.
Down the road, they may overturn it and say no. Because, I wouldn't say overturn it, but adjust it because the evidence is that they're not being protected.
I agree, Larry. Thanks, Larry.
Then the final one would be, if you don't trust this, appoint a special master that oversees the child deportations, and then give us the right to deport at a certain point. Like, you can do that, like that one with a special master. So the judge may want assurance. What assurance do I have that you're going to abide by this? And you'll say, well, Your Honor, if you want to appoint a special master, we can have a special master look at each case as we move through it. Right. But again, the Supreme Court might overturn the case, but again, it's still, does the Supreme Court want to overturn it during this time period? Probably not, because it's not sure that that the kids will have any protection. So in lieu of overturning the case, they might agree to some sort of limitations, which means not everybody will be deported, but well, if you have representations that the Guatemalan government is going to secure these children and care for them, then that's enough. Or repatriate them to their families. Well, again, the basis for the argument is that the system is being gamed. You don't know, you're not going to say every single case is that, but it's essentially what's going on. The system is being gamed.
Agreed.
I think the court could understand that argument and then come up with restrictions. In reality, in a better world, they would overturn the law. It's way too broad. Well, essentially, if I read the law correctly, you, you might be able to deport 1 out of 50. All right. All you got to do is get a lawyer to complain about it, and right. Well, the system's built a certain way, and amnesty is for certain cases. Right? If you always amnesty out, and they spend money on once you're here, then we don't have money to fix Guatemala, where they don't have to come here, right? And where I'm not just saying, tough titty, have your shitty life, where they won't have that. I mean, I was definitely moving the power, and Mexico actually it did increase off of that. A lot of civic-minded projects, loans, all sorts of things that were moving. Right, infrastructure was increasing. Right. Cartels were being reined in, and then all of a sudden it fell apart. Probably because they hired a bunch of good-for-nothing spies to attack the government of Mexico. Right. Spies are lower than worm dirt. Spies will even say that. I agree. Worm dirt being worm caca. Thank you. The Cassius bail thing is bullshit. Right. I had to look it up just to make sure. The Lieutenant Order of Police is saying that it's designed to cause people to not, have no repercussions for their actions. That's not what it's for. Well, it simply says if you're poor, right, you'll get out if you deserve to get out. You're confusing two issues. Agreed. Liberal judges are not cast bail. Right. Now, there is some liberalism that is warranted in certain situations. Thank you, Larry. Now, can they require bail in a cashless bail system, or does it have to be everybody the same?
Well, it's risk. It's supposed to be a risk assessment, right? So, but that doesn't change. Dangerous to the community or risk of flight. What you're saying is because somebody doesn't have money, they should automatically be detained. I mean, that's a failed argument. What you're concerned with is judges that don't apply the risk assessment, right? Or apply it properly. Right? So again, cashless bail is not going to fix that, or no cashless bail. Well, the only way you can do it is to hold judges accountable, but you can't hold a judge accountable if they make one mistake or two mistakes, right? Well, because you'll find conservative judges have made similar mistakes, right? Right. Again, the idea of if I make more, the squeaky wheel gets, noticed the much, most response. So again, if you become a squeaky wheel about bullshit, there's a certain number of people who are going to believe it. Again, that's kind of a psyop. I have no idea why my body just let go. I haven't even got my steroid shots. I have no idea. It's weird. Well, you need to go get massage and everything. But my body looks like it's kind of trying to heal. Body's trying to heal. I have no idea what's going on. It's kind of weird because I'm too loose now. But I'm not sure what did it. It might be this arnica that I sprayed. Right. I could have been healed. I could have stayed healed if they were forced to stay away from me. They played a lot of mind games, and they also willed things. Again, these mind games are psychological torture. They'll go to hell, man. Believe me. Even the people that tried to act like they were nice were scamming me. You're going to go to hell. I don't judge you. I'm just telling you. That way, the hopes that the next people won't take part in it. Correct. I am a messenger from the Most High God. I have my work to do. I don't think I'm going to Cincinnati. I kind of didn't like it because it's called Addy. Cincinnati. What's Vivek? You can't trust Vivek. Might start killing people for eating meat. What is that with India? They're killing people now. We're pacifists, but we kill you because you eat meat. Did Peter Thiel put them into it? God bless you, Larry. Cincinnati. Oh my God, do I really have to go live in a city called Cincinnati? Sounds like a double sin. No, it feels weird because I've been tight lately, and all of a sudden went bloop. But everything's stretch. When you're tight, everything stretches, like your joints and stuff. And then when you release, you're like rubber band. Right. I need to lose weight. I need to get back to a lot of different stuff, but again, I got to focus on getting out of here. This has been one evil city, or actually state. Well, if somebody paid me my money that they owe me, then maybe I'd stay. But otherwise, I'm out of here. Any day you want to put a settlement on the table, I'll look at it. Otherwise, you'll pay off. It's just the way God works. God's not without such sympathies. But no, I'm not Peter Thiel or any of them. I actually had something done to me, and I actually earned this stuff through my work, not through organized crime and racketeering of a spycraft CIA and worse nature. I'm wondering if because the allergy season's picking up, I wonder if I get my steroid shots, if it'll help me with the allergy season. Right. No, I obviously needed those shots like 6 months after or 3 months after I got my shots. In again, I had shitty doctors and all sorts of stuff. I see deep state's cursing me real time. That's the problem. But I definitely needed to get right back to it, and I didn't know that that's how it worked. Like when you get older, you can go and get 2 or 3 different shots or same shots, every 3 months until you get better. Right. Thank you. Which means probably 5 years ago I'd have been well enough to go start life again somewhere. Right. Of course, if you let them stalk me, they can penetrate my mind and make things a little bit difficult to figure out. Right. Yeah, this is reality. I'm not here to play your game. I'm here to live the life I'm supposed to live. But if I'm not going to live that life, there'll be other lives I'm supposed to live. And this is what I'm living to explain everything. Right. Otherwise, I wouldn't have needed to explain all. Right. It's in religion. It's in scriptures. Right. How the mind works, how the possession works. It's real. It's just you can't heal people if you hold certain discriminations. Right. Right. So again, thoughts and prayers don't work because you really don't have the right thoughts and prayers. Well, the most important person to heal in the Catholic Church shooting was the shooter. If you heal the shooter and pray for the trans shooter instead of praying to Satan that they would be the trans shooter, then it would go away. But I don't know if you could use that as a political point and make money off it when you do your fundraisers based upon trans stuff. Well, if I actually, this is how it works. If I protect the trans people, they'll curse me to be affiliated with trans people. So I have to actually online at least look at trans stuff, or it'll screw me up. Because if I had money, none of this would be necessary. Right. And they knew it. That's why they blocked the money. Yeah, the Veganese company, it doesn't have the appropriate seals. Well, the idea that in Cincinnati somebody defecated in front of workers, it happens in every city, even happens in some small towns. Right. But I use that type of stuff to research what's happening in the trans world, heal it, right? Look at the algorithms, right? See what the algorithms are doing. I think that's what I did. I sprayed some more concentrated arnica on my calves. And when my calves let go, I think the rest of my body let go. So the podiatrist was right. I just had no idea how to fix it. He said it's coming from my foot spurs. Of course, since then there's been a lot of damage because I couldn't get it released. Again, they're stalking me, harassing me. Nobody exists more. Nobody. We looked. Bullshit. I agree, Larry. And then LDS, et tu, Brutus. Et tu, Judas. Right. Well, it's just another reason for God to end the planet. Yes, the has since been returned to shelters run by the Office of Emergency Pre-Dawn Appeal. Hotel in Golden State, this government has been coordinating with the U.S. to accompany minors. Right, ambiguous. No, there is ambiguous. It's not unambiguous. Right. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to present to the court what Guatemala is going to do. You have to, for each child, you have to again put the child's name or whatever you use to identify them, the situation, and then what the government of Guatemala is representing as the future of that child. Agreed. Thanks, Larry. That you're going to have to do that just to start the case in the right direction. So you're going to have to present to the judge what your plan is for each child. It's just basic stuff. So you're going to have to talk to Guatemala. So you have somebody call Guatemala, whoever your liaison is, and sit down and say, well, what is the plan for this child? What is the plan for that child? And then you have to have somebody, that same person has to make sure that it happens. So after they land, a couple of weeks later, you call, what's going on with those children? Did the plan work? Are they in those facilities or those places? And back with the family, what's going on? Right. We thank you, Larry. I agree, sir. We agree. Like I said, I don't think they're going to overturn the law, but you can complain and say, in reality, Your Honor, I know it's probably not going to happen, but the law should probably be overturned because it's or vacated, whatever they do with the thing, because it's too broad and vague, right? It doesn't. There's no way they meant for no deportation, right? There's no way that the spirit of the law is zero deportation. We agree. They agree. Mm. So weird how it's all let go. I've been tight, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden I sprayed it, and it was like wet noodle, which means I can start my program again, getting massages, and then going to the gym, seeing if I can strengthen. I'll probably just start physical therapy again. I actually have to call some groups of people to make sure they're going to get paid. Can't believe there's a debt out there. Obviously, the deep state's part of it. I could tell they were in my insurance when everything started falling apart. Right? No, they're not bashful. They got operators in there. They either paid them or inserted them in the corporation. Right? It could actually, the person submitting the insurance could actually be them, and they just keep screwing up the submission. Oop, 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 oop. All right. And I was being blocked from calling them. There's no doubt. And looking at it, finally got back to it. Hmm. Well, it's just really fishy, like from an investigative point of view. Why are children coming into the United States? There's no way that they were, I get right, they were unescorted, but they had somebody with, right? You can't leave them with anybody that's not a blood relative, I guess, or something, or somebody that doesn't check out. I guess there's some of the people that came in with like pedophiles and things, right? It'll be an interesting day tomorrow, that's for sure. All right, I'm going to get offline here and we're going to start the prayers.